This episode of the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour is sponsored by the law offices of Alfred Guillaume III, a boutique criminal defense firm located in Washington, D.C. The firm specializes in defending federal criminal cases. You can learn more about the firm by visiting our website at guillaumelaw.com. That's GUILLAUME law.com. Welcome to the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. In this episode, Georgetown law professor Christopher Brummer and I discussed some of our favorite classic hip-hop albums. We talked about the importance of OutKast to Southern hip-hop and the time he spent in West Philadelphia listening to the newly formed neo-soul sound. He's the host of the award-winning podcast Fintech Beat and the founder of Fintech Week, an annual conference that draws financial heavy hitters from across the globe. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome back to the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. You know we couldn't let him leave without talking about my favorite subject, music, and particularly hip hop. We're joined again by professor at law, attorney at law, Christopher Brummer, who, like all our guests here, participated in the tradition of digging in the crates. And he's chosen some real bangers. Now, Professor Brummer's got to catch a flight and go to some crazy country at some point in the next few minutes. But I wanted to talk with him first about some of the records that he chose and why he chose them. Welcome back again. Thank you.
Of course.
And let's start off. I mean, we all know that you are a Southern man. The first album that you chose that's on the table is OutKast, AT-Aliens. Can you talk about why you chose that, what that record means to you?
Well, because, coming from Arkansas, it is true. Like, you had some Texas hip hop coming up in the day, especially,
right.
You have
UGK,
to think back at UGK.
Ghetto Boys.
Ghetto Boys was particularly, influential and played, but if you're coming from rural Arkansas,
right.
And, boys and girls, there was a time where not everybody had cable television. Okay.
I remember getting cable television.
You remember cable,
yes.
It's still adjusting, the rabbit
right.
ears and everything else like that, and like waiting for MTV raps, and everything.
Right.
It's like that wasn't always a given for everybody in the country, right? And so you would only hear, it's almost like you'd only hear like the echoes of
right.
hip hop, right? Now you would hear some of the, if you go to even rural Arkansas, if you go to a party, you back in the day, you'd hear Dougie Fresh or something like that.
You hear some of the stuff that's trickling down.
But to like, at what point am I hearing something that sounds like me? At what point am I hearing something that sounds like that has,
something personal to you.
Something personal to me, and honestly, like, so when I went off to Germany, I kind of lost my
right.
Southern accent. But if I
clearly,
you put me back in Arkansas for like, you put me back there for a week or so, I'll lapse back, right? So to actually like hear, sounds that came
right.
from.
And OutKast is they're not from Arkansas, they're from Atlanta.
They're from Atlanta, but still from the South.
Right, from the South,
right?
Deep South.
From the Deep South. And to just sort of hear
right.
like the elasticity.
I love
right?
that word. And you chose AT-Aliens as opposed to the first album, which is also there.
Yeah.
Any particular reason?
So the first like blew everybody's mind because
right.
you just didn't hear it.
I talk about it all the time. The first time I heard it was in '94 from a guy from Atlanta.
I mean, like,
Southern Playlist of Cadillac Funky Music, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But actually, if I had to choose between the two albums, the first and the second, I'm going to go with number 2. I'm going to go with AT-Aliens. I mean, Wheels of Steel for me.
I was about to go Wheels of Steel. I was like, like there is something also, like again, I'm from Northwest Arkansas, so there was like no big cities. But if I was going to go to like a city, and this is when I'm starting to kind of turn like 18, 19 or
right.
something, right? So maybe I'd be back home from college or something. The places where I would go, I wouldn't be going to Atlanta, but I would be going to like Memphis.
Right.
I'd be hanging out there.
And Memphis
like that.
Memphis is listening to 8 Ball and MJG, which is
Memphis was totally 8 Ball.
Right. But they also would have appreciation, I would imagine, for the.
There was a very close, like relationship and
right.
connection between Memphis and the ATL. So and when you're having Wheels of Steel, right? I mean,
right.
you're just
exactly. That's a great track. I'm going to jump next to the record. When you saw this record in the stack, you said, "Oh my God, this changed my life." And this is Dr. Dre, The Chronic. This is 1992. So were you still in high school at the time?
I was still in high school.
Okay, yeah.
I was still in high school, And
talk about this album. It is a game changer for sure.
I mean, like it expanded your imagination, right? You know, and it showed you because you know, as everybody my age will say, like, you know, you had amazing hip hop coming out from the East Coast, and you know,
the West came back with a vengeance with this album.
With a vengeance, right? And you know, and then you're starting to hear Snoop, you know,
Snoop was shortly thereafter.
You know, and
he was the first time I believe he was on this album.
He was on this album. Snoop made his first cameo,
right?
You know, and so you're sitting there and you know, like, who is this guy? You know, and you're thinking to yourself, this is
right.
This is going to be going somewhere.
Dre was, you know, he's obviously was in the NWA, and he wasn't one of my favorite members, right? I liked Ice Cube, Eazy-E. Those were the standout guys.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I mean, like, well, Easy, you know,
right. Easy does it.
Yeah, Easy does it. I was always a standout. But I think for me, for whatever reason, and you know, I listened to NWA and everything, but like, this album was the first that brought that, like, stole my heart from the West, from the East, where I heard it and I said to myself,
wow,
I love this. This is some amazing music.
It's G-Funk.
It's G-Funk. And like, I wanted to, like, you know, get out and move to LA. You
right.
know?
And just get in a lowrider.
Yeah,
right. The videos, what I remember most about these albums, Dr. Dre's first album, The Chronic, and Snoop's album, Doggy Style, is the videos. The videos, you talked about Yo MTV Raps a moment ago. And Yo MTV Raps, you know, for those who don't know, was on MTV, which, for those who don't know what MTV is, they used to portray the show videos. Like, but it was only I don't know if it's an hour long, a half an hour, I can't remember. The other Dr. Dre and Ed Lover, and they got so much play. These West Coast guys from these New York-based show. And I just remember watching these videos, man, and just being like,
those
wow.
videos were amazing. Although it is hilarious because one of our personal friends, I won't put her on blast, was actually in one of the videos. And very, very well.
I know her?
I think you may.
Oh my goodness.
You may actually.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. No. But she lives in D.C. Yeah.
Oh, she was in one of the videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So, you know, it's and she always sort of laughs about it because, you
That's
know,
funny.
it's like, you know, being part of like video history.
That's history.
Like
no,
that.
that's history.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. We gotta dive into a little more off camera. So next we take it to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and you chose. There's a couple of Roots albums in there, but you chose this one. You chose Things Fall Apart, which is actually my favorite Roots album of all time.
Curiosity. Which is your favorite song?
Oh, so my favorite song is it's kind of hard to. Let me see. I mean, okay, the song that got the most play, I think, is the song with Erykah Badu.
Of course. Which was not my favorite song.
It wasn't mine. I love that song.
Yeah. And I at that point in time I was in college, and you know, so in that long sort of thing of schools, I actually spent a year over at Princeton after I left Washington.
Another Ivy League school.
Yeah, another Ivy League
school.
But I was there for a year.
How smart are you?
Yeah, I know. But you know, I wasn't really feeling like the middle of New Jersey, right?
Right.
And I couldn't afford New York.
Right.
So I moved to West Philly.
Oh wow!
Right, and so what I would do is I would hang out, you know, go to the food trucks in West
go.
Philly, hang out in
My
Philly.
wife is from West Philly. Shout out to West Philly.
And then I'd hop in the car, and then I'd go, and also, you know, like, it was a lot cheaper for living. So then I'd drop into my car, drive over to Princeton, do my classes.
And come on back to West Philly. Wow. So you hated New Jersey that much that you lived in West Philly. Hey, look, man.
Hate is a strong word.
Right.
But
At the time.
I wasn't feeling Princeton at that point in time.
Man,
You know,
I'm not mad at you, brother.
They had this great hogie place. It's called Hoagie
What, in
Haven,
Jersey?
Hoagie Heaven. Yeah, it was like real good. It was good.
You're the best hoagies are in Philly.
Yeah, but this place was real good. But for me, it was the food trucks. It was like
it was all the other stuff.
And yeah, just hang out in West. So I would just go over the. I'm sure they thought I was crazy because I'd go to Princeton, do my
all right,
thing,
guys, I'm going back to West Philly,
and then I'm out, and then I'm going right back to West Philly.
So to answer your question,
so I would be listening to this album.
Nice.
In Philadelphia. And it was just, you know, there's something about listening to the music
in the city where it's
you know,
created,
where it's created, and the references and everything, and that's why it was.
Double Trouble is the song with Mos Def is probably my favorite. It's not a commercial song at all. Mos Def and Black Thought, that's And I can't remember if anybody else is in that song, but that's probably my favorite song. And the sample, the beginning sample, is they sample Mo Better Blues, which is my favorite Spike Lee movie.
Yeah.
On the very first track. So that's this album is great. I love the Roots. The Roots are just on a whole other level with being a band and everything, and it's really amazing. But we're gonna take it to New York City though. So look, now our remaining albums are all New York people, but very different. Each
very
one
different, very different.
I know we're running out of time, so I'm gonna get them all at once. You chose Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest. You chose
I could put the whole Native Tongues in there.
Right, exactly. I mean, look, you chose The Infamous by Mobb Deep, which is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
And then you chose Black on Both Sides by Mos Def. So 2 conscious albums, and then a New York gangster rap.
I mean, look. You know, Mobb Deep, Illmatic as well. You know,
Right.
obviously, like those are the Bibles for survival.
Oh,
Right,
look, folks, listen.
The
Oh,
Bibles for
I love
survival,
it.
Right? It's like, look, you know, life's gonna throw you some raw hands.
Right.
Sometimes life throws, you know, for many of us, you're thrown a raw hand the minute you're born, right? And it's just about like, how are you gonna grind out of it?
Yeah.
How are you gonna grind out of it? You know, and
Look, this record on the Infamous, the Trife Life is mine. It's not even close. It's Trife Life.
I mean, really, like for me, it's like the whole album.
The whole album's great.
I mean, I don't even
Right.
like. It's just from the start to finish.
Yeah, it's definitely
It's a masterpiece.
press play album.
Yeah,
as my
it's
friend
a
Dave
press play
Cooney
album,
says.
right? And I mean, I
Shook Ones. I mean, the beat for
the
Shook
Shook
Ones.
Ones.
You know, I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know,
I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play this as soon as I get.
like,
but
Eye for an Eye with Nas is on that track.
yeah, the Eye for an Eye. I mean, but just the production. I was listening to like
Temperatures
a podcast.
Rising. I mean,
Temperatures
the
Rising.
list goes on and on.
But like,
rest in peace to Prodigy.
Rest in peace, Prodigy. I mean, like, but I was hearing like a podcast, I think, or movies on Sirius or something about like the production behind this album and how they would just take, you know, songs,
Soul samples, a lot of soul
the
samples.
soul samples, and just the way
Norman
that they would
Connor
extend
Starship
them,
is a big soul sample I love on this album.
and they would create a sound.
Right, they
Like
had created
of
a
grit, like depth,
so New York,
Like,
so gritty. I think is the perfect word.
gritty, and like it's like fullness and a void at the
Right.
same time.
Oh, man.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
and like, you know, it's you know, and there was something that in it all, you know, if you're trying to rise, you're trying to do your thing, like you could identify with,
Right.
and you just could identify with, and you
Even
know,
though you're from Northwest Arkansas, they're from the Queensbridge projects, but you still related to it.
I still
And
related
I
to
did
them.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you love native tongues, and we can talk about native tongues. I love native tongues too. But I want to end on the album you chose last, actually, which was Mos Def's Black on Both Sides, his first album. I'm a big Mos Def fan. And explain to me, you got 2 minutes till you have to get on
All
the
right,
plane.
yeah, and
brother.
so between obviously the Black Thought albums and general, you know, having it's like for me, I felt that number one, and I would have chosen even some of the original Black Thought, is when I was in South Africa research. I heard Black Thought for the first time when I was in SA in Cape Town, and I was like doing this research, right, and so. You know, researching history and then listening to Black Thought, it was like this mind-blowing thing. So then I come back, was about 2 or 3 years after their very first album, and what I just thought was interesting was you saw someone who was trying to kind of take that sound,
Right.
make it, you know, give it a spin where I'll say, you know, more accessible, a little bit more part. You know, there are some that's
Most Def's was at least in this record a little more. I mean, the roots were more. I'm not gonna say the word radical, but it was more.
Oh yeah, much more. You know, it sounds
especially this album,
right?
especially Things Fall Apart.
But I just felt like he was trying to like have this balance, right, between like this. He wants to get the larger audience without losing, you know, without losing.
He's
his
got
soul,
the lyrics
right?
that Black Thought has, but at the same time, his music may be more accessible. Like he has Miss Fat Booty, which is one of the
Miss
songs.
Fat Booty as a scener for the other
song.
side. Yeah, you know, you got, you know, and yeah, exactly. And also, by the way, every like, you know, black dude and you know could identify with like being in a club at some point in time. It's like
falling in love,
falling in love, right? And so and that was
And he's also conscious rap.
And he's still conscious,
Right,
right?
he's
And that's
still-
why it's like there's just balance,
Right.
you know, and that's why I liked it. But I did want to say that Midnight Marauder though,
Marauder's
that was
game changer.
for game changer. First year I was in college, went up to
And
the
album cover
the
is
Howard,
iconic.
yeah.
With all the different faces of art, hip hop artists at the time.
Yeah. But also like, and this was at the heyday where you go to the HBCUs, and like Tribe.
Right. Yeah. When folks were not really as obviously popular as they are now, and they're
just hanging out in the dorms,
right.
and everything. And so I just thought that was amazing.
Well, Chris, I really enjoyed talking to you about this music stuff. I know you could probably talk for hours more, but I know
Your whole crate.
The crate.
Your whole crate. Oh,
the crate
strong.
is strong and growing. It's strong like a child. That's being well fed. But I do truly appreciate you coming in, and hopefully you can come back more, talk more music. We get more records. You come back in, we talk.
Oh yeah.
But thank you again, my brother. I really truly appreciate you.
Always.
Right. Let's not miss that flight, please. I can't afford to
I
pay for your plane ticket.
I gotta go. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. Make sure you listen to part 1 of the interview and catch up on all past episodes by subscribing to the podcast, which is available everywhere, including Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. New episodes are released on the 12th of each month. And if you'd like to see the video version of an interview, that can be found on my YouTube page at the Lawyers Hip Hop Happy Hour. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you on the B-side.